When Emma told me she'd be working late again, I didn't argue. It was the third time that week, and I'd trained myself to smile, nod, and pretend not to notice how often those late nights had started to appear. Her tone was rehearsed, casual, the kind you use when you've already told a lie enough times to believe it yourself. I remember watching her pick up her purse, the faint trace of perfume hanging behind her as she walked toward the door. "Don't wait up," she said with a grin that didn't reach her eyes. I said I wouldn't, but I did. For months, I tried to push down that quiet suspicion, that itch in the back of my mind whispering that something didn't fit. She'd been distant, distracted. Her phone always flipped face down. The warmth between us had cooled into polite exchanges, and I'd been convincing myself that maybe marriage just went through seasons, that maybe this was one of them. But that night, something shifted. I don't know why. Maybe it was the way she hesitated before leaving, or how her voice trembled just slightly when she said, "Love you." It sounded like guilt trying to disguise itself as affection. Around 8:30, I texted her, "How's the project going?" She replied almost instantly, "Still at the office, might grab a coffee soon." But I knew she wasn't there. A few weeks ago, she'd left her car keys on the counter with a small Bluetooth tracker still attached, a remnant of her own paranoia when she used to worry about losing them. I'd forgotten about it until that night. When she said she was at work, I checked the app. Her location blinked 3 miles away, in the opposite direction of her office. It was at a small residential street near the lake. Quiet, private, the kind of place where secrets go to hide. I didn't go there. I didn't need to. I just stared at the screen, feeling my pulse slow instead of spike. I wasn't angry, not yet. I was studying the pattern, the way betrayal unfolds not in a scream but in silence. I waited. 10 minutes. 20. 40. Her little blue dot didn't move. At 9:37, I sent one message, just one. "Your boss's car isn't parked outside your office." She didn't reply. A minute passed. Then 5. Then her location started moving. Fast. I pictured her glancing at her phone, panic spreading across her face as she realized I knew. I could almost hear her keys fumbling, her breath quickening, the sudden, desperate drive home through red lights. By the time she pulled into the driveway, it was close to 10. Her car screeched to a stop. She walked in trying to look calm, but her hair was a mess, her hands trembling. "Hey," she said, forcing a smile. "You're still up." I nodded, pretending to be casual. "Yeah, just wanted to see how late you'd be working." Her eyes flickered. For a brief second, she almost dropped the act. Then she recovered, slipped off her heels and said, "I told you. It's been crazy at the office." I leaned back in my chair, letting the silence stretch. The clock ticked between us like a metronome marking the distance in our marriage. "You know," I said softly, "I was thinking about visiting you tonight, bringing you coffee." Her face paled just a little. "Oh? You didn't need to do that." "No," I replied, holding her gaze. "I figured I'd stop by, since your car's not there." Her expression froze. 1,000 lies collided behind her eyes, searching for one that might still make sense. But none came. She opened her mouth, then closed it again. The silence between us thickened until even breathing felt like a confession. She tried to laugh it off at first, that soft, nervous kind of chuckle people use when they're drowning and pretending the water's warm. "What are you talking about?" she asked. "Of course my car's there. I parked around the back." "Really?" I said quietly, "because I looked, and I didn't see it. Not at your office. Not anywhere near it." Her lips parted as if to respond, but the words didn't come. A tiny tremor ran through her hands as she tucked her hair behind her ear, a gesture I'd once found endearing. Now it looked like guilt wearing a familiar mask. "I can explain," she whispered. I nodded slowly. "I bet you can." The air between us grew heavy. The soft hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen was the only sound. I could see the war happening behind her eyes, whether to confess or to double down on the lie. "I was helping a coworker," she finally said. "She had car trouble near the lake. I didn't tell you because I knew you'd overthink it. That was her move, always turning it around, making me question myself. She had done it before, in smaller ways, the kind that slip past you until you realize you've been gaslit for months. I stared at her, not with rage, but with a strange, calm exhaustion. You were helping someone, I said slowly, at a house by the lake? For 3 hours. Her voice cracked. It's not what you think. Then what is it? She didn't answer. Her phone, resting on the counter, buzzed softly. She froze. I looked down at the screen. A single text notification appeared. Just a name. Mark. The irony cut deep. The man she'd sworn was just her boss. I didn't grab her phone. I didn't shout. I simply looked at her, and in that silence, I saw the truth unravel faster than any confession could have done. Her eyes welled up. It wasn't supposed to happen like this, she said. I didn't mean for me to find out? I asked. She swallowed hard. For it to go this far. The words were small, pathetic even, but they carried the weight of something that had been breaking long before I noticed. I stood up, feeling strangely light. Emma, I gave you every chance to be honest. Every night you said you were working late, I told myself you were just tired, that maybe I wasn't doing enough. I tried to fix things that weren't even broken by me. Her tears fell freely now. Please don't do this. It was a mistake. I love you. I shook my head slowly. You loved the version of me who didn't know. She stepped closer, reaching for my arm, but I moved back. Don't, I said quietly. You've already touched enough that doesn't belong to you. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. The kind of silence that stretches across years, heavy with everything that could have been said but never was. Then I picked up my phone, opened the same tracker app, and tapped a few buttons. Her location blinked one last time before I removed it from my account. You don't have to lie anymore, I said. You're free to go wherever you want. Just don't tell me you're working late. She broke down, sobbing quietly, hands covering her face. But I didn't feel triumph. Just an odd sense of clarity, like fog lifting after a storm. I walked to the door and paused. You know what that text did? I said softly. It didn't just make you drive home fast. It made me stop waiting. When I left the house, the night air felt colder than I expected. But it was honest. Every sound, every breath, real and unfiltered. Behind me, I could still hear her crying, but I didn't turn around. Some endings don't need revenge or dramatic closure. Sometimes the best punishment is simply letting the truth do its work. And for the first time in months, I didn't feel like I was the one being deceived. I was finally the one walking away, not in anger, but in peace.